Welcome back to Apex Builders Group Underground Storage Tanks, a series of how to become a contractor for the installation and removal of underground and above ground fuel tanks. Right now we're making progress. Oh, by the way, this is Tom at Apex Builders Group. Right now we're making progress with the metal supports that will be the canopy for the pump stations. It looks like there'll be 5 or 6 locations to pump the fuel. And the pettibone, as you can see, is very useful in articulating exactly where to position the steel beams. And our green apparatus there is a scissor lift. Other areas of the country have different names, but it's basically scissors up. It's very like an accordion, somewhat very agile. And between the pettibone and one operator in the scissor lift, it's basically just a 2-person installation. And there he goes up. As you can see, the scissors, it's like an crossed X. It goes up hydraulically. He raises himself up, or herself, it depends on the personnel, up to the location. Hard hat, of course, is required in this area. And the pettibone stabilizes the beam, lifts it up into place, and the man in the scissor lift is putting the through bolts with a nut into the channel iron, also known as I-beams. This looks like lightweight, even though it used to be colored a red, which seems to be now traditionally mostly gray. Specifically, there's one interesting part about the bolts and the nuts. They are not just any type. They're basically called, or they have on each head of the bolt and the nut, it's very, very specific. It's called a 325A, also known as a 325A bolt, because it's specifically high tensile strength, and it's resists shear, where we don't have that much loading on these beams. It's basically just a roof, carport type of canopy. So if it not typically is needed, we would use them anyway, because tensile strength is important for the shear value of the bolt. So that's about all. Other than that, we're making progress on the piping, as you can see in the trench. Those look all like electrical tubing conduits, and those will be specifically for the pumps and measurements and sensors and all kinds of other gimmicks that we can utilize on a service station. In the foreground, which is about in the middle of the project, is the array of those are going to be the fuel lines that will traverse those ditches, which right now are covered with the insulating blankets, and those will be going in later, probably next week. Right now we're at a little bit of a lull here on the job site, but progress is still being made. It's a beautiful day again. Clear skies, can't ask for better. Winds are 0 to 5. Perfect installation weather for putting together a new gas station, service station. There's not going to be any service here, but they used to be called service stations when there was a garage and a mechanic, but basically today they're just fuel stations. So let's see if there's any more highlights for underground fuel tanks. Pretty soon, well, we're going to continue with this series, but it's going to be overlapping into actual general contracting work, where we actually are assembling a building, canopies, roofs, pavements, and much more than just the tanks that hold the fuel. So the segment of the underground fuel tanks will continue if I can think of anything specific that needs to be known. Other than that, can't think of anything right at the moment to be shown on the video. Anyway, everything is organized, safety fence up everywhere. Logistics are good. As you can see, everything is placed around the yard on the job site. So it's out of the way, but yet readily available. Oh, also, scheduling is a very important part of logistics for the general contractor. Need to pre-order everything so it arrives a day or two earlier than needed. So it's always here on time. So it's on standby to be installed, so there's never a delay for materials. Very important timing. If anyone is wondering what is involved in this timing, a complete set of blueprints and suppliers and subcontractors are a prerequisite for a smooth timeline. So every part that's going to be used on this job is already known, already has a supplier or a contractor, and it's quite an orchestra of schedules, so it's all perfect harmony. And that's the good music here. So till next time, this is Tom at Apex Builders Group. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and you can watch our videos free of charge. Just participate in watching the video, and any comments or questions, just please leave it in the box where it's down below. This is Tom, over and out.